Hello again everyone, my name's Rendi, and many of you might already know me for some of my PVM achievements on RuneScape. Now, I have a lot of unique PVM achievements, but I would say my proudest PVM achievement happened just last video, where I almost completed the fight caves while blindly drinking and driving. Therefore, personally, I think of myself as a relatively decent PVMer. But anyways, let's throw all these bullshit accomplishments out of the window, because today, none of that really matters. And why, you ask? Well, because this video is all about PvP, not PVM. So when we talk about PvP here and my history with it on Oldschool Runescape, well, I've only really ever PK'd. So the extent of PKing is it requires, well, clicking a big giant black thing in your inventory and then clicking on your opponent.
Bruh.
Now personally, I loved this style of PKing, and that's because it was probably all done without even switching to the combat tab for a special attack. But in turn, this meant that the skill cap on this type of player versus player action was very low, and I virtually learned nothing from doing it. Not to mention, I did it about 5 years ago. But why does any of this matter now? Well, recently in the RuneScape community, a 1v1 PvP tournament was held by the developers of the game, being Jagex, and as you can tell, unfortunately, by the date of this video, I wouldn't have even had close to the experience in PvP historically that it would require to compete in something at a magnitude of this. But this tournament sparked my attention, and Jagex is actually soon to still hold yet another PvP-oriented tournament on the 1st of May, being called Deadman Mode, which many of you are probably already familiar with. So unlike the PKing of my past, this tournament requires a vast knowledge, muscle memory, and PvP reactionary skills to even get close to winning, much less to place well. This tournament starts probably by the time I upload this video. So the question is, how would I fast track my muscle memory and become on the same level as these hardened PvPers with near to zero experience? Well, just like in my last video, I'll be needing an idea, one that can fast track myself to PvP success in less than 1 week. So this idea popped in my head when thinking about how Deadman Mode is actually played. It is common knowledge, especially when there is no XP cap, that you need to basically be sitting on your ass for a good 18 hours a day in order to even compete in this tournament. That made me realize it might be a factor as to why these people are so good at PvP and Deadman Mode, because they're locked into the mindset of PvP and PvP alone for 18 hours of the day. So, what is the best way to focus on one thing and one thing only? Getting rid of all other distractions.
It's as if all he knows is
PvP.
and breathing!
Therefore, to hone in on my focus on PvP and PvP alone, I could in fact restrict myself to an enclosure which would only consist of PvP, and therefore knock every other distraction out of my being. So from here, I made a vow. I would use this same strategy not only within the game like the iconic area restricted Ironman of RuneScape, but I would also do this in real life. In other words, I would lock myself up in real life as well as in the actual game, and I wouldn't let myself leave until my PvP goal was overcame. I believed this would boost my focus, and allow for my fight or flight psyche to actually kick in, which would reinforce my PvP training into a fast track towards success. This works because in this scenario there will be no option for flight, and therefore I'll focus my psyche entirely into flight. So the first question you may ask is, where would I train my PvP skills in the actual game? I decided to do this in not Bounty Hunter or player versus player worlds, but instead in Last Man Standing. This is because a lot of the greatest PvPers I found tend to reside in LMS from day to day. Tryhards. And they have free access to high tier gear, as well as no penalty for death besides just losing the game. Also, you can go ahead and do Tribrid with all the people around you, as that is the meta inside this minigame. And this same style of NH Tribrid is just as effective in the 1v1s towards the end of the Deadman tournament. Now you think this might be easy, but for my sorry ass who has zero to no skill in PvP, let's just say, I'm going to be in for a hell of a ride. And when I say a hell of a ride, I mean, well, the enclosure I'll be trapping myself in isn't just going to be a room. No, that's too big. So instead, I decided I'll be trapping myself into a 48 by 30 inch cage. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention? Well, I'll be locking myself in this cage until I win an LMS competitive game mode. And let's just say for someone with my PvP capabilities, that could take many days, if not years. I once again set my sights on Amazon to purchase this amazing cage, because well, I had a $97 return credit for my previous purchase, being the wheel I used in my last video. I mean, let's be honest, I just don't think it had the greatest of functionality. Along with the purchase of the cage, I still had some extra cash from the return, and therefore I would put this money into some cage-themed attire. This was done to place myself more into the mindset of being trapped with only one means of escape: PvP. As you can see, we have all our equipment here. I got the cage in the mail through Amazon, and I got this beautiful outfit that said one size fits all, but trust me, it wasn't one size fits all. My gut is literally hanging out of it. So, let me go ahead and show you the inside of our habitat for the next, well, however fucking long it takes. Let's get in here. Oh, fuck. As you can see, my head kind of hits the top of this cage here. Very constricted space, but we're gonna have to make it work. So, how I did that is I strapped up this blue snowball microphone, pop filter, got a headphone mount in here, got a good old Lenovo ThinkPad in case things get rough and I'm in here more than a day and I actually have to sleep in here. We do have that, as well as a very thin pillow. Good for my back as well, because I don't want to be putting my back up against a fucking, steel cage, so that's always good. And lastly, we have the camera mount, but the camera is obviously off the mount here. And then we have another camera mount actually behind the cage, which I will have my girlfriend Emily put up in case I need to get different shots and different angles. I think we're going to make it work, and hopefully we get out of here as soon as possible, and I do not have to do this for, however long this fucking takes. So, until then, I will see you guys on the outside. To start this challenge, I made a brand new account on RuneScape to 1. Validify my progress in Last Man Standing, and to 2. Possibly get the upper hand in fights by making people feel sorry for me. And this is because this account was to be named Cage Only. So now I started out my PvP journey, and let's just say the first day was rough. I began my journey in the F2P world because, well, for one, I didn't want to buy a bond, and also because I thought maybe the competition would be a little bit lighter to begin with in my training. But I was wrong. I was still getting smashed even by some of these brainless F2P players. This just goes to show that even though I do in fact have a brain, my hand doesn't move like some of these fucking machines. Yeah, top 2. First time, but it's casual. Oh, what the fuck is happening to my hit points? Why does it say it's full, but I'm at fucking like 30? What? Okay. Glitch man standing. I was legitimately getting smashed by every PvPer in these damn F2P casual games, and at first I almost always placed near dead last. But unfortunately this game is called Last Man Standing, not Dead Last Man Standing. Finally, near the middle part of the first day, I began placing around second and even won some of these casual F2P games, and I was proud of myself. But little did I know I was going to get absolutely smashed for a lot more than I already had been. And why would I be getting smashed? Well, I finally decided to get a bond and go to pay-to-play worlds, where the competition was a little bit more steep. But I had initially thought this might not be as hard as I expected, because as soon as I got in the game, I found out that some of these players in the pay-to-play world weren't players at all, but in fact, they were actually robots. Oh yeah, there's bots in this game, that's great.
Learn your place, robot scum.
I think we found another bot, he's just standing here. Did these even get points at this rate? Okay, thanks for the kill, friend. Man versus machine. It's just too easy. Oh, this guy doesn't even have a fucking helmet on. What is he doing?
BTB Joe.
What does that even mean? Okay. Alright, you got this fucking bot. See, this is later in the game. I didn't think there's bots even this late in the game, but he's dead, okay. So at this point, many of you are probably asking one question, and that question would most likely be, well, where am I going to be using the restroom?
Yeah.
We're not going to actually be using the bucket. If I did have more funds in Amazon, I could have bought a bigger cage and possibly enough room to defecate in said bucket, but unfortunately we're going to have an alternative means of transport, and that is, well, my girlfriend behind the camera right now is going to allow me just to use the restroom a few times a day. But you never know. I could just be like rank 2 smithing in disguise this whole time. So despite getting some nice kills on some robots that literally stood there and did nothing, I still ended the first day by placing nearly dead last around 30 more times in competitive P2P last man standing. There were too many professional tryhards, who at this point, I thought, well, might have literally been playing this game for a living, as well as probably since the first day they were born. Oh my god, 37 Bolt? Oh my god, not the claws. I mean, just look at this guy here. He thinks he's a professional Fortnite player, using a dance after he killed me. Fucking hell.
Yo, Cam.
Team Pro here, he's... Oh no, switch to the... Oh my god, here we go. Yep. Oh, he's doing a Fortnite dance. What is he, ninja?
Ninja confirmed.
Are you serious? Try hard. Therefore, at this rate and on day 1, I was already losing an extreme amount of hope in ever getting out of this damn cage. I'm just giving up. There's no point. I'm just giving up. I'm taking all my shit right now. There's no point. Yeah, give up? I've already given up. What do you mean? I got no armor on. Just kill me. Okay, good. Wow, fuck you, man. I'm stuck in a fucking cage, dude! I'm stuck in a cage, man!
This is where the dog sleeps. This is where he sleeps. Good night.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and catch some Z's here. I'm actually laying on top of my laptop. Hopefully get the win tomorrow. But yeah, we're gonna rest up. Good night, y'all. Have a good one. Now day 2 had rolled around and I wasn't feeling so well. I couldn't tell if this was because of the nerd neck and muscle cramps I was developing from the cage itself, or if it was something else entirely different. But that's when I realized, this guy named Lysergic UK in the comments the other day for my last video with the wheel stated that I was an alcoholic. And if this was true, it all made sense to me now. It wasn't the cage that was damaging my body, it was the fact that I was suffering alcohol withdrawals. And maybe, just maybe, this fact was what was holding back my PvP success, and not the sheer fact that I'm terrible at PvP. So what did I do to combat this? I drank. Alcoholic rock.
Blessed by the
Bud Light. Let's get fucking smashed. Let's do this. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, come on. Let's go. Woo! If I'm ever going to get over the LMS challenge, well, I'm going to need a lot more Bud Light fuel. So, this is how it's gonna work.
That's good shit right there. Let's go.
So at the beginning of the second day, my game started poorly just like the previous night. But I was still determined to win a game and get the fuck out of this cage. As the alcohol kept flowing, it seemed to somehow be helping, and towards the middle of the day, to my surprise, I was consistently making it often into the top 4 of every game, and by that evening even, I believed I possibly had a chance to win, making it sometimes into the final fights. I began to understand that maybe Bud Light would be my savior once again. Okay, wow, got the declaw off. Wow, we're gonna be top 2 again, thank God. Okay.
You got second place. Not bad.
Totally out of food here. Some miracle has to happen. Come on. Oh God. No, don't. No, not the warhead.
Second place.
Let me out of this fucking cage. Okay, final fight again. Think we might have this one. Fuck.
Second place.
Oh no. Oh my God. You see this shit? I got fucking AGS'd again. I'm tired of almost winning and trying to fucking get out of this cage apart. Piece of fucking shit. so at this point I was extremely discouraged. I had wasted my whole day in this cage, coming only inches away from the win at competitive last man standing, all to be placed second time and time again. It is now day 3, and let's just say after yesterday, desperate times call for desperate measures, and more beer. I tried to find other solutions for this win, and therefore my eventual release from the cage. For my first alternative attempt to win several games, I, well, just began to beg these players I was in the final fight with to let me win, explaining to them that I was trapped in a cage in real life until they would let me win a game. Just let me win, I'm trapped in a cage, you have nothing to lose, I have everything to gain, let's go.
Just let me win, I'm trapped in a cage, man. Let me win, come on. What do you have to lose? You got like a rank to lose, come on.
To my dismay, all these tryhard PvPers without a damn heart said no words in response at all to my plea, and instead quickly slapped me into my shallow grave.
Second place!
Okay. You got this guy here, fucking ranging me. Out the wazoo, no food left. He's not gonna let me win, of course. It's too easy to do that. I'm in a cage. You're in a room, okay, man. It's two different things.
Speaking of having no food, well, you might have been wondering how I was eating in this habitat in real life. Well, luckily enough, the cracks in the cage were large enough to fit just 2 things through.
Doritos and dog food.
I love the Cool Ranch. That's the best kind there is. It really is. Cool Ranch Doritos. They're fucking good.
Eat your fucking dinner.
This guy, oh my god. I'm tryharding with the Entity Hydron, and he fucking AG specs me. And he says, I'm already in the cage! What do you mean, in you go? You not fucking read the public chat? I can't even fucking read.
Because I found out PKers have no hearts, well, I would have to look into more alternative strategies to possibly win these games.
Go! This guy's smart. This guy knows exactly what he's fucking doing. I should take this into account. I should write this down.
Another alternative option was brought on by advice from one of the pros, being Chessbra himself, who exclaimed to me that I should just run around in circles and hide till the end.
You have to go hide. The only way to get second place, like all the time, just hide. See? When you kill him, go hide in the corner. Like that top corner set. Go hide. Hide.
And although this would get me to the final round more through avoiding all intentions of how the game was supposed to be played, well, I would still lack the experience needed to kill my final opponent, who was the granddaddy of them all. And as you can see, I fell in the final fight again and again with this method.
Oh, fucking E-Claws, dude! E-Claws, man. Hell of a fucking
Drug.
Now, the next alternative option I found myself exploring was possibly fake logging and making my account unattackable while just avoiding any combat whatsoever from anyone. And therefore I would possibly be able to pick up a last man standing win with little to zero effort. This would lead me to contacting my friend Mauler OSRS to experiment with some ideas to initiate this fake log and therefore win the game.
So I'm gonna call my friend Cam to come help me win an LMS game and possibly fake log. We'll see how this goes, see if he's gonna actually come help.
Yo, what's up, dude?
Hey, we got Cam on the phone. Cam, I was just wondering if you could like come through and help me win an LMS game real quick. 392.
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright.
Like 10 to 15 minutes, so
That's good, man. 10 to 15 minutes. Sounds good. I'll see you then. Appreciate it.
you know that, right? Later.
We would attempt to initiate this fake log with the stall from the rock inside the game and the rope. But the problem was, well, all the tryhards kept trying to kill us, and we couldn't even outrun their insanely mechanically inclined fingers.
Oh,
Okay.
shit, man.
No, fuck!
Oh my god.
No!
It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, you can't tag the person. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
Oh my god. What about, just take the rope and then use the rope on there. No, use the rope on here. Use the rope on here. Go back the other way. Just toy with it. Okay, run away, just run away.
It's fucking stupid. Be on that side of the. Oh my. No, there's another guy!
Oh my god. Okay, run back. Just go back. Just
No, go this way. We're making the whole complete
Jesus
circle.
Christ. He's attacked me now. He's fucking attacked me now. Are you kidding me? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Run. Don't even try. Run.
Go. Get him.
No.
Okay.
I'm just gonna log off because there's another guy coming for me. Another common alternative strategy used today in PvP is to just hit your opponent offline if they are better than you, which 90% of PvPers are better than me, so this could be feasible. This would be done just like it was to the guy who apparently won the 1v1s on his mobile hotspot just last week. But there was one problem with this method. It's illegal. So not only would I be in a cage like this until I win an LMS game, but likely for a few years after that. As you can see at this point, even in these attempts at alternative options towards success, all my hope had been lost. And I'd even gotten so desperate to win that I began trying to master the try-hard strategy of using Entity Hider and stepping on top of other people's bodies. But this just got me killed even more, because I suck. I felt useless, hopeless within PvP, and like I would never get out of this fucking cage. Day 3 was nearing a close, and I'll be damned if I am stuck in here any longer. So that night, I went at it hard, and attempted to move my hand over my mouse as fast as I possibly could, just like all of these other actual PvP machines. Before the night was over, my sole focus towards a legitimate win, as well as my alcohol consumption, was finally paying off. And as you can see here, my hand is moving at the speed of light times 10, or probably even more. I don't really know how fast it was moving, but I can say it was pretty damn fast.
Second place!
I'm fucking trapped in this cage. At this point for my lightning speed development of arthritis, I was placing near the top in almost every single game, and I was usually getting over 3 to 4 kills per game.
Impressive.
Therefore, by night 3, I had returned to yet another final fight. But real quick before going into that final fight, I remembered Chessbraw's wise words of advice, and they in fact probably saved my life.
Go hide. Hide.
And to be fair, at this point, I was so focused and just trying to get this win, my commentary wouldn't do this final fight justice. And instead, in the traditional PvP fashion, we're going to have my friend Voldesad here do a shoutcast over the final match.
You guys don't mind if I vape real quick, right? Cool. Thought it'd just be rude not to ask. Nothing important's probably gonna happen anyway. Alright. Fight's back on, and it looks like Denzelrum runs outside the safe zone like a complete moron. Cage only catches the freeze. During those 20 seconds, he's going to be taking a bunch of extra damage. This could even the fight out real quick. Yo, Rendi, you sure this fight isn't set up? This is bad for Denzelrum. This is going to take away a bunch of his sharks. Freeze is over, Denzelrum runs back in with his vest, his longsword, but the Cage only reacts well. The fight's going to go down to the final hit. We are witnessing RuneScape history, folks. Cage only down to just a few food and DORITOS. Then Zelrun whacking him with that VLS off prayer. Oof! Down to 3 HP, folks. This could be it. Dumps his last spec, 7 HP. He got lucky. And the claw spec comes in. And the whack VLS. Cage only won the fight.
Instant replay.
Out of this fucking cage.
You got first place.
Come let me out of this cage.
So as you can see, I won my first LMS game, and my last, and I am now a PvP master. You can tell by my flashy cape being the best one they offer from the LMS shop. I mean, it only took me 3 days, but with hard work, perseverance, getting some damn lucky RNG, and the cage in the end, it all paid off. I was finally one of the top PvPers in the entire game.
That was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. I mean, I literally have holes in my arms from this jumpsuit being too small and me being so constricted for, 3 days straight. But I think we've learned a lot, and the main thing we've taken out of this experience is that PvP sucks. And although I was supposed to be practicing for Deadman mode this entire video, well, I came to a realization. I really don't want to ever go to PvP again. And therefore, I might just have to use this cage for yet another goal.
Level 3 Inferno.
Now, if you all enjoyed this video, once again a subscription to my channel is greatly appreciated, and it's the best way of showing support. And even though we're so far off that name change still, I wanted to do something special at 100,000 subscribers. If I somehow manage to hit that 100,000 subscriber milestone from this video alone before the next upload, well, in fact, I will get a PvP lettering tattoo on my back in the jail font you've seen throughout this video. As well, on a very last note, I have set up an Instagram account for behind the scenes videos and photos for each episode or video I will be filming. So if you did want to follow that page or any of my other active socials, I'll put all the links down below for you to check out. Lastly, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.
DORITOS and dog food.
First